All right, going to try something a little new this time. I've got Kurt Anderson, who works with me at fun.com and is one of our top designers, works on our sweet Halloween costumes and sweaters, and he's working on building his own company. So he had some questions that I thought maybe I could help with. And I guess first, why don't you just tell me a little bit about what you're starting here too?
Sure. So I decided during the pandemic it was the time to focus on doing something of my own. So I wanted to develop a clothing brand for the queer community and really focus on that target market, especially with how larger corporations just capitalize on that community. And then when like Pride Month is over, it just kind of cuts it out and just like, what else are you doing for the community? So I want to do fashionable things and fun stuff, but also develop into a brand that caters to every aspect of the community, and in turn doing charitable donations based off of the funding that I get from people buying our product too.
What made you want to do your own, and what have you done so far?
So what really pushed me is just there's so much that is untapped for the queer community or even just men's fashion in general. Obviously, I'm not like a shirt and khakis type of person.
What?
Like, ew, I can't. And like my first job out of college, I was required to wear a button up and khakis every day. And it was life draining and I hated it. It was not what I wanted. And so obviously coming to fun, I got to do whatever I wanted with how I presented myself. And while not all people think what I wear is professional, I still really like to embody myself as who I am through my clothing. And that's what I want to do with my brand, is bring a little bit of myself and share it almost as like a love letter to the community.
True. So you've kind of got a brand name already you had sent me just a couple images of some of the sketches that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a brand name, and I guess where have you gotten so far? That's like first steps in just starting, right? Because obviously your background is design, so naturally for you is like, I'm just going to sketch things and what I would want to wear anyway.
Right. Yep. I obviously all the ideas just going through my head, like designer, that's what we do. And then when I was finally inspired to name my brand, then I did all the research about the domain names and like making sure I could get all the handles on all the social media and like, or something similar, which luckily my domain name was still open. So I only got it for like $12. So I was like, that's awesome.
Nice.
So then, yeah, it was from there. Then it went to like the legal stuff and like the license to like be in e-commerce and all of that. Like I did it all through like LegalZoom, and like I had no idea where to start, and I just like kind of threw money out at LegalZoom to just like get my stuff done. I'm just like, in the end, I probably could have did it a different way and been more calculated in how I was doing it. But I also did not want to sit there and fill out all these forms. I'm just like, I'm going to pay someone to do it.
Speed is a thing too, like
Right.
understanding like what you're good at and what other people are good at. So it's more of like, as long as you didn't miss something, then yeah, you're on to your next step, right? Okay, that's one of the things I need to do. Got the domain name, so now what's next?
Right. And like when I was starting to research into all of the like legalities of everything, like trademarking and like all that stuff, I just like seeing all these numbers just like rack up with the cost, and I'm just like, that's when you get that like sudden fear. It's like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to do this? And like in the long run, the cost wasn't as awful as what you would think. for all of those documents, but still very significant.
Yeah, I mean,
like
everything adds up. Like going into being an entrepreneur, you got to be ready for there's going to be some expenses, and so how can you have less expenses at home, or how can you create a little nest egg? Because
right.
there's some learns in the way, and realize like the learns, you're gaining knowledge, right? So as much as you like pay for schooling or stuff, this is kind of
Right.
like entrepreneur 101. So you're going to pay for some things that
Right.
maybe you didn't need to pay for, but you now know and you understand
Right.
better. And that's why like I want to do these kind of video type things too, is what have I learned through that process too, so that I can help people to not spend money when they didn't need to that first time, or that, when they were going through it.
Right. And what you said in one of your previous videos about the moment you were like shopping with your mom for suits and you just felt that onset dread of like, I'm going to go into this 9 to 5 and like just become a robot person, that really like struck with me too. Like, I'm extremely happy at Fun. Like, I love designing the product and everything. Just reflecting on like previous jobs and even my future is just like, I want to be able to also have this.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's always that I don't want to regret it later.
Right.
So like any of my employees, if you're ever going to feel that way about something, I'd rather encourage you and help you through it. So, and then if it doesn't work out, at least this is still here. Like
Exactly.
At least you never have that feeling of 10 years from now, like wishing that you would have tried.
No, that's totally how I feel. I'm already like almost mid-30s and like the time is now. Like it has to happen now or it's just not going to happen. And I think, like you were saying, making that nest egg, living at home with my parents during the pandemic, obviously I'm racking up no rent costs and doing like minimal things for like around the house to like appease my mom. Like show I'm not a freeloader, but like obviously I'm working all day long, but still she's just like, what are you doing all day? I'm like, I'm working. And she's like, I don't believe you. I'm like, Mom, get out of my room.
I sketched a Care Bear Valentine sweater. It's important work stuff.
Oh my God. She just like, she's so funny because she's always like that. She's like, what are you doing in here? I'm like, my job, Mom. And she's like, what are you working on? I'm like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be showing you, but here is what I'm doing. She's like, oh, that's interesting. And then she'll go on a long story about like Care Bears from the 80s. And I'm just like, girl, my lunch hour is over. But yeah, so definitely
no rent, no travel or car payments right now, or like car gas payments. So like all that adds up, right? So now that gives you a starter. So what's the next thing you're working on, or like where are you stuck maybe right now?
So definitely it's like funding. Like there's so much information out there that you're like filtering through and trying to figure out what you'll be even like approved for, like loans and credit cards and like investors. For me, like it would be situational. Like if I found an investor that like got what I was doing and wouldn't like try to have a say in what I'm doing, then I'd be like, oh sure, yep, invest all you want. But like having an investor that could come in and just like kind of monopolize what I'm doing and like pretty much just screw with the brand identity, that is a no-go for me. Like I don't want that. Like that is not what I want. And like bringing a queer brand to like some old dude at a bank. Sure. I just like have the onset like anxiety of like, this is what I'm doing. But also just like retail in general and e-commerce is such like such high turnover, and like retail brands fail all the time, and you really have to like have an identity that people really respond to. So that's like the thing for me right now is like finding the funding and trying to do it kind of my way and not like traditional ways. But essentially right now I'm pretty much bootstrapping what I'm making and putting it towards my brand. And since I'm designing and developing all of my stuff myself, I have like a factory in Bali that I'm working with. So like I need like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like the like perfect amount would be like 50,000. So like
So is that to get you your first product? So you've designed the product
Mhm.
for how many items?
It's roughly like 16 pieces in the collection, the first collection, and
So you've talked to them, the factory in Bali, or so you found a factory. That's already like
yeah,
one pretty difficult step.
right,
And
yeah,
then, so then you know what kind of their minimum order quantity is.
Mhm.
So then that's how you're getting to like, this is how much dollars I need to even just get the
Yep.
product made that you want.
yeah.
Okay.
And luckily, their minimums are like only 50 pieces to begin with, but I'm doing like a lot of hand sequin pieces and a lot of like more intense work on some of the pieces. So some of them are really expensive. Like one of the sample cost for one of the pieces was like $450. And I just like make it so I can see it, and maybe I'll hold on to it until I make more money and then I could produce that one. But
So do you have ideas of like what that stuff you think you can try to sell for?
yes. Yep, I did a little bit of like research before sending my stuff to the factory, kind of like trying to figure out similar products that are being sold online, and I tried to figure out the like ranges that I wanted, and I think they're gonna be pretty good. Right now, they're still like sampling a lot of the stuff, and I won't know production versus sample cost until they're finished with the piece. So that's also like a huge like unknown, but you can kind of guess what is gonna happen.
Clearly, there's a few different ways you can go about funding something. So when I started first website, flappercostumes.com, I had borrowed $5,000 from my parents,
Mhm.
and I was buying just from a wholesaler. So one is like, okay, normal investor, and I would say most investors are going to be hesitant on like really early stage stuff that
Right.
they're going to want some sort of proof of concept. So it'll be pretty hard to find investors just going to pump in money when
Right.
there's not really a product yet.
Right. Yeah.
But that's one. Two would be, similar to me, like, are there parents or friends or family that, even Jeff Bezos' parents own part of Amazon, because
Right.
that's step one, is like asking people, and like, if you can walk them through like, look, here's what it'll cost for me to kind of get started. It's easy for me to walk through with my parents of like, it cost $5,000, but worst case, it was a costume that I knew there was demand for. I could sell it on eBay. Like, there really wasn't a risk as far as like me paying them back.
Right.
This might be a little bit more, but how do you help ease that like risk level of, look, the hope is that I make money, but let's put me in a worst case scenario of, can I at least sell this stuff to who for,
Right.
if it just doesn't work out at all, how can I help pay back part of whoever would
Right.
lend me money? Third would be, crowdsourcing type sites. I don't know if you've looked into that sort of stuff, and I don't know if I've seen a ton of brands. Usually it's like single product type stuff, but I don't know if you've spent any time on.
I
sites like
have
that.
like looked into crowdfunding and like Kickstarter. It's just like the rules and like the stuff that happens if you don't meet your funding, you don't get any of it. But GoFundMe, I think, is different. You get whatever is given to you, but also I feel like GoFundMe is more of like save my medical bills and like save my life, and I'm just like, I'm not, I feel like a jerk being on there, being like, fund my fashion brand. Like,
It's very true. I was wondering if there's a way to kind of do what Kickstarter does, but on your own. Is there a way of kind of pre-selling what you're about to make.
Right.
Whether it's through your own website as just like, hey, this is all pre-order with some sort of warning of like,
right.
But even if, if you got pre-orders, that would also help friends and family commit to dollars too. Cause now you at least know, man, if you could sell, so let's say it costs $25 for something and you're hoping to sell it for $100. Obviously you just only got to sell through 25% of it. So
right.
So part of you could even start like working on the marketing piece once you've got a sample, at least that's first step that you're working through.
Yep.
And then can you prove the concept in some way? So I guess, have you thought through how you're going to market it and actually who you're going to sell to and how you're going to how they're going to find you? Because that's another way you can almost start that way, with the caveat of I don't have it yet, and it's kind of basically going to be custom made and there's only going to be this many pieces, or however you might promote that.
The concept of like pre-order I've definitely have thought of, and that makes sense. I would just have to really figure out my factory's timelines, and that's like the main thing. It's like, how fast can you get it? Like, I'm not gonna sit there and have these poor people order something and it's like 3 months later they get their piece, and I'm just like, that would be so awful.
I mean, that's Kickstarter in general. I mean, that's
true.
Like,
yeah,
that is. Some of them are even longer than that. Like, and that would be my worry or thing I would warn you against. Like, Kickstarter is like, you set an expectation, right? Of like, okay, fund me, and now if you say 3 months and it actually ends up taking 6,
right?
I've done a few products like that where, not me selling, but I bought some products on Kickstarter like that, and you see the response when people don't get it in time. So
yeah,
but yeah, these are your options, right? Like all of them kind of come with the downside of like, you really want to talk to your mom about how your finances are going in your business because she's an investor.
My God.
Do you want to make sure you can get product on time? Like, each one kind of has a downside. Do you want to give up, ownership to someone else? Like, all of those have a downside, but it's all kind of like what's best for you to get started.
Right.
And I don't have a perfect.
I don't think anyone has a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Because there's also so many like shady like lending companies too, and like you try and like get a loan or like get like business credit cards with like a decent amount of money on them, and then they're like, we'll try and get you all this, but we also want a huge cut of whatever we get you, and it's just like another expense out the door. It's just
I would not recommend credit cards if we can.
It's like,
avoid credit card bills.
That was like my downfall when I first moved here. Like, I had, for some reason, so much credit card debt, and it just got worse and worse, and I finally like pulled out a personal loan to like consolidate it. I'm just like, how the hell did I do this? How did I get myself like this? And it's just like, shopping. And that was like 5 years ago now. I'm just like going out.
So is that what
drinking.
Your mom's worrying about? Like, are you shopping all day long?
100%. 100%. Oh my God, she gets so upset when I get a shipment of anything. Like, if a box shows up, she's like, what you ordered now? I'm like, none of your business.
See, that's good though. So, right, you're at home, you're saving money on rent, and you're also like more hesitant to buy anything because your mom's
100%. She shames my ass.
You're saving a ton of money getting ready for starting your own business. Later, you're gonna thank your mom.
Oh my God.
Because my mom didn't think I had like. So when I started the company, I was in college when I was starting it, and when I wanted to do it full time, my mom wanted me to like move the business into her house, and really it was because she didn't trust that I was going to work that hard. Right? That's what I think, at least. I'm pretty sure it was like why don't you use my kitchen? And it's like, for me, like, oh yeah, your garage has more space is how I took it, but I think it was really her like making sure I had the work ethic that I.
Right.
Luckily, like, I do have that work ethic. When you really enjoy something, it's not like when she used to make me mow the lawn or move furniture. Yeah. Like, no, I don't want to do those things, but I enjoy business and I enjoy like data and running companies. So I think she ultimately understood that, I was working that first year when October came. It was 20-hour days. Like, I couldn't keep up. So I think I proved like I have the work ethic. It just needs to be something I enjoy.
What was it like working with your family? Like, they were like a part of the company in the beginning and like really involved. Like, is that something you should suggest? Or like...
Sure. It can go both ways. I mean, I would say like when the company was, really young and it required 20 hours and we still couldn't get orders out, like no one's going to put in the energy like your own family because they understand like how it affects you, right? Yeah. Where, I would ask friends and they would come after the bar, but I couldn't interrupt their normal day. So like those first years of really like growing the company, my family probably had just a really big impact because we're all just fully committed because, we're in it together. Where an employee you'll never, you can't expect an employee to just put in the amount of effort you would.
Right.
It's just unrealistic to expect that.
Right.
So, there's that like complete upside, and then it's your family.
Right. Right.
You're working with your family, right? And it's big sister, little brher dynamics type stuff. That, you get that too. So,
right.
I don't know if I would warn people against it, and I wouldn't also, say yes for sure, do it. I think really, my parents were entrepreneurs growing up, so we knew what family working together was probably more like than maybe someone who doesn't. So we were probably already a little bit safer than someone who had never worked together and knows how, on vacation days, like Memorial Day at school, like I went to the recycling and garbage company and did weed whacking. That's what my family did on holidays. And like, so we were all used to kind of working together in some way.
Right.
So I don't know. I've seen companies even in our industry, like completely collapse because the family dynamic could not work together. Right. And I've obviously seen success with it. So is that something you're questioning or?
I definitely, so my younger brother's in college right now and he's kind of at the point where he doesn't know what he wants to do. So in the long run, if this blows up in like any sort of way, like even in the beginning, just like having him do all my shipping and like, because obviously I'm working all day, like I want to get those shipments out, but I'm like not going to take my lunch hour to go and do it. I mean, I could, obviously.
Obviously, our culture is very flexible. Sort of
right.
Like, you can't I have a full-time job and run a full business, but as you're getting started or just like starting things, I was working part-time and going to school full-time.
Right. Yeah.
When I started. So it's completely different when you commit to like, I'm doing it full-time.
Right.
So that shift is definitely, but up to that point, it becomes kind of a struggle of like, how much time should I spend? But
totally. And then like my mom, she's kind of like a math savant. Like she'll just like do all these numbers and like pull things out of thin air. I'm just like, how'd you figure that out? Like, she's just like, I just know. I'm just like, okay. I'm like, so do you want to do all of my taxes and finances? Like, is that going to be your role? And she's like, so she also doesn't work currently. Like, she was working and she's kind of been like a Renaissance woman in the way she's like always done different things. She's like, made frames at a factory and then became like a nail tech and like doing nails, manicures, pedicures, and like newspaper routes. Like when she needs to get money, she'll go get a job, but if she doesn't need to be at the job, she'd rather just stay home. But all of us would rather just stay home. But she works really hard when she's working. So if it were to ever be like a family thing, I think she would like oversee my younger brother until he figures out what he has to do and like help me with like all the stuff that's just like so over my head. Like my right brain, when I was looking at all of that law stuff and like money, I'm just like, I don't get it. Like it just like is so overwhelming for my mindset. I'm just like, I'm clearly a visual learner and like I see visually, and it's just like this giant 10-page packet of super tiny like letters. I'm like, I can't. It's just
But
like
you did it.
I did do it, but it's just
So-
like it took a lot to like get
That's
me
why
there.
you like need to be passionate about like what you're going to start, because you,
Right.
got to do these things that you aren't really going to want to do.
Right.
Like, it's gonna, if you don't love it and you aren't passionate about it,
Then
those
there's no
those
point.
things are just going to
Yeah.
be like, I'm done.
Like there was times when I was going through it, I'm like, is this even worth it? I'm just like, what am I saying? Of course it is. Like I just gotta do it. And then like, yeah, it's been a lot, but I'm really hoping the reward is gonna be really great.
So my one warning about maybe hiring family. So I would say like first, they're your family. They're going to help you out no matter
Right.
what to get started,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so use that as
Yep.
if you've got people who are good to help. I did hire a couple really good friends while I was kind of working through the business, and they didn't work out, and like those are my hardest.
Right.
As I look back and like making those decisions of having to let go a really good friend because I knew ultimately that was better for the rest of the employees and the rest of the people.
Right.
Super difficult. So
Yeah.
family would be even harder.
Yes.
So to think like, so if you hire them and now that's kind of on your shoulders of like, now I have to provide, and so I would just be hesitant about that because
Yup.
if you have to make the hard decision,
Oh God.
Yeah. But you're far ways from that. First,
Right,
you're
right.
still in. Okay, how do I get enough money to make my samples and make my product right now?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, so we can talk through that a little bit more. But I guess maybe after that would be, where else am I going to promote, and how are people going to find my product? I guess I'm
Right.
interested in what you've thought about through that, and where would you market? How would you get visibility of it?
Mhm. So I have actually like a laundry list of friends that are photographers. Like, so I'm with them is going to be definitely like a discounted rate or even free, which is huge. And I kind of want to send them the samples and kind of have them shoot it their own way and like create content for all the social media, and choosing one that will do the full like campaign for the website. So like all the imagery that's going to be like the top bar, and like even just like the model shots with the clothes and like the lay down shots, like any like way I can spend less money on that is going to be huge. And I really want to do some influencer stuff and try and like reach celebrities. Like it would be awesome to get like John Vaness from Queer Eye in our pieces, because he is the demographic. Like he is everything that the brand pretty much embodies.
So which one's John?
He's the long-haired one, and he's like
Interesting.
very gender fluid,
Mhm.
and like, and that's like everything the brand like strives to be is essentially like his closet. And like Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek, he would be an awesome person.
So I'd assume lots of people are reaching out to those guys.
No, for sure. Like
Right.
so many people are reaching out. There's a lot of like micro influencers that I feel like I could start with and just like see if they'll be willing to be paid in product, which
Yep. So there's a paid in product. Could they get a percentage of the sales that they
Mhm.
drive? It is. I mean, it's a network first of like, how do you get visibility, right? So
mhm.
Yeah, you're bringing me back to like starting pages again of like, oh yeah, I forgot your website can't be done because you don't have pictures. You don't have the product.
Right.
You don't have the pictures of the product because you don't have the product. So there's all this like, I want to do all these. I want to finish the website. I can't finish the website because I don't have pictures yet because I don't have product yet. So then you like really just hone in on, oh, I can't finish the product because I don't have the money to finish the product sample.
Yes.
Yes, I know exactly how
all
that
my friends
feels.
are just like, where's the website? I'm like, I don't have anything yet. I'm like, hold on, leave me alone. They're like, we're waiting. I'm just like,
yeah, there's a lot of steps to get that all started. Thanks for taking me back to that.
I mean, that's the point of this, right? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Any experiences is like anything you could share about like what would you change that you have done in your startup process?
So I'm trying to go back to like, okay, I remember, I wasn't making my own stuff. So I was going to a wholesaler and buying it. So that already trimmed out a ton of what you're doing. But obviously, that also means your product way more unique than
right.
mine was. But I was going through the same thing of like, I need a website and how do I buy the domain name? And then I needed pictures. So all three of my sisters were the models and, on my white background in my college house. And just, taking pictures and editing it in Photoshop. And it's just one costume, a flapper costume in blue and red and black. So they were all the models and they all fit in like my college closet, all the stock that I had. And then, okay, I had a website. How does anyone find it?
Right.
So it's still like every step is, man, like it takes a while to get to just that first sale, right?
Right.
And the first sale is finally like, okay, now there's momentum. And now I feel like, so I don't know, I would try to get to that point of like, okay, how do I get to just first sale? Because obviously your mind can go to like all these big things it could become and all of the stuff I could be doing. And you can get wrapped in a lot of that without like much momentum. And then it can kind of like tear you down. But I mean, you've done a lot of the steps of like, okay, you've already designed product, you found a factory, you've got names. So you've got the Instagram and handles. So you're doing everything like you can do. Right. So that's good. It's tough to just post on Instagram if you don't have any followers to start with. So are you looking at how much money do you need to test some like paid ads? Obviously Facebook's really good and Instagram's really good at like, are there demographics of people or brands that people might like that you can then target those people? So for instance, if I wanted to start a winter apparel type company, I might look at Burton snowboards, people who like Burton snowboards and, but maybe higher end Burton snowboards or something like, okay, I can target those types of people that let's show them this imagery and see if it connects. So I'm not sure if obviously we do a lot of that here, but I don't know if you've looked into any of that sort of stuff of like paid social ads or how would you try to do it organically, which is harder yet. But, sometimes like the right product can
just blow up.
Yeah, that's why Kickstarter kind of works too. Like Kickstarter is somewhat in that way of like you have to create a video and explain like here's what it's all about, and people kind of can either fall for that product or fall for like the person and the story and what it's all about too. Which is hard to do if you don't have a Kickstarter or some sort of platform. Then how do you get that out? Right.
So like I definitely am I know I'm going to do Facebook and Instagram ads for sure. Now they're like integrated as far as I know. It's like you basically just pay for one and they do it all. Well, not all of it for you, but like it goes on both platforms because Facebook owns Instagram now.
Yeah, you can do it both ways. You can set up one ad and do them on both, or you can like set up different ads on both, but it's all within the same kind of management template. Or
sure.
You can do it all within Facebook and you can just, hey, this type only do on Instagram. This ad I want on Facebook. This ad actually works on both. So you can kind of test it. I would say start like as small as you can because some things might just like this imagery wise, I think is going to do better on Instagram. So let's only do this kind of demographic and these type of people with this sort of budget on Instagram first.
Right. And like with TikTok blowing up, I don't know if it's just because I'm a millennial, but I don't get it. I'm
Really?
just like
I feel like I feel like I should have a TikTok, and I'm very boring.
Oh my
I would
God.
much rather watch you on TikTok and whatever you're going through with your brand. Like, I've actually seen people doing that. Like,
Really?
just, like talking about the business experience and just recording it. I feel like that's entertaining. Like, I'm not very entertaining, but
Oh
you
my
are entertaining, and I would watch that experience.
It's
with
because
you.
I'm a Leo. But no, for real, like that makes sense though, to like kind of like film the progress, but also as much as I'm like loud and like kind of in your face, I'm also very shy and like to myself, I'm just like, I'm kind of a private person too, so I'm just like, here's my messy ass desk that I've started my brand from. Be like, woo woo.
I think people would like it. Like, I wasn't sure how people would react to this because again, I'm like very introverted and I definitely don't like talking to a camera.
Right.
Like, so I get that feeling if you feel the same way. But I guarantee people would rather watch you than me.
It's just gonna be like, how long are they? Like 15-second videos of me just cackle laughing? Like,
I'd watch it. I would.
oh no. Oh, maybe it's what I need to do now. Oh no.
See, and you're already like saying one of the things that is trending right now is like the, oh no. Oh, no. You're already even doing it. It's writing itself here, Kurt.
I'll just make my younger brother handle my social media.
He'll just record you.
He'll just record me. I'll be like, get out of here. He's like, we have to make content.
It might. It's free and it's like tons of people see it. It's probably the cheapest kind of advertising you can get right now.
Right, right.
Tons of people are consuming it and not a ton of people are like creating content for it.
Right, because Facebook, let's admit it, it's dead and it's for the boomers now because like I'm never on Facebook anymore and like every time I'm on it, it's just like anyone from my like parents' age up, just like all of their stupid like memes. I'm just like, I just can't do it. And like, obviously Facebook's huge and I'm gonna still do it, but I'm just like, is my demographic even on Facebook anymore?
So
where
are you going to advertise, or where do you think everyone is then?
I think everyone of my demographic is going to be Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and probably Snapchat. But I don't know how brands advertise on Snapchat. That's like also something that I can't really grasp because it's like it's there and gone, and like I don't know.
Clickable, like, I mean, that's what's great about Facebook and Instagram is like it can click right through and
Right.
shop, right? And even TikTok's still pretty early stages on true advertising, so it's still like very broad. I can advertise to everyone, but it's not necessarily I can advertise to like the target market like Facebook can. So.
And like Pinterest now, you can buy from Pinterest, like it's broken down that way now. But you can also do that with Instagram too, like. You can do the like buy now post and it has like all the links when you like tap the like photo. So that's really cool. So definitely I think my biggest one I'm going to focus on is Instagram because I can like comprehend it. And like the brand, it's visual. Yep. Like that makes sense. Like fashion is visual. People want to see the fashion. They want to like feel the lifestyle through the image and like buy the product to be that lifestyle.
Which is Pinterest too, then, right?
Yep, totally. Yep.
And that, I would say to like invest in what you know. So like, clearly, if you know Instagram, you're going to perform better because you know how to use it. At the same time, take your 5 to 10% of your energy and test this other stuff too, so that you find out like actually TikTok works. That might actually make the whole brand because it works.
Right. How did you find your wholesalers and eventual factories?
So we were going to a trade show for the Halloween costumes. There's like a yearly trade show called the Halloween and Party Expo. So my sister actually had found out about it through just a rental company that rented costumes up in Minneapolis. So
Oh, sure.
she went to it with my mom one year and found out like, man, there's tons of wholesalers, right? At the time, my mom and my sister were making just the rental costumes. That's how it started. So we started going to trade shows, and then we started buying costumes. So that was just the first introduction to like, oh, there's a bunch of people making product. This is, now it's, okay, who makes the best product and how much is it? How many do I have to buy? How much do I have to spend? You know, there were some companies that required $10,000 minimum to buy, and there was ones that like you could buy one. Like,
Oh my God.
Right? And
We'll stick with those guys.
started with those. And this was like a dance, like kind of a company that made more like dance outfits.
Oh, sure.
So that was what I bought the first one. I didn't get into manufacturing until quite a few years later. So the first time we started doing manufacturing, we were renting like orange and blue tuxedos for Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, yeah.
And no one made the hats, so we were like spray painting gray hats orange and canes orange and shoes. And everyone kept asking like, oh, do you have a shoe paint color? Because we would just tell them like, here's the paint to go buy and spray shoes. And we're like, man, we should find someone to just make shoes.
Make the shoes, yeah.
And that was our first. So I was looking on just Alibaba.com and like finding shoe factories, and found ones that were making like basically similar kind of dress shoes, and say like, hey, can you make these in these colors?
Right.
And talk to few different people on Alibaba, and you find like the one that communicates faster and in English the easiest. And it was one of those risks too of I'm trusting, you know, like, I'll send you some money, I hope I get a sample, and then I send you a bunch of money, I hope I get all the product. Right? It's a little risky and scary, but it was, I don't know, it's one of those like, I think it's reputable. You research as much as you can, and then
especially back then, Alibaba's American website was a mess. It was a mess. Oh my God. I actually found a few manufacturers on Alibaba, and it's so much nicer now because they have all these like verification things that they can get, and all these like ratings and all of this stuff. And like the more of those things that they have, clearly they're the better factory.
Right.
And like,
well, they might be more expensive too.
They might be more expensive, correct. But sometimes it's,
but you're paying for security. Like security.
I'm like, I
also don't want to give away $5,000.
Exactly. Oh my God. And there's like so much more like insurance now too with going on Alibaba. Like if they like screw up the order, like you can like dispute it and get all your money back, which is really nice.
Yep. So that's a good place for a lot of people to find product or find manufacturers now. So how'd you find yours?
I was like, I knew the one in Bali is my main one, and I knew Bali was known for like sequin and hand beading and like all of that, and it was actually still really hard to find something. It was just like, you kind of just have to Google every combination of words like you can think of, and then it will just magically appear and just like be given to you. So when I finally put in the right Google search and it popped up, I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I wanted. And then like the more you look into it, and they're like 50 minimum, and like this is the stuff we can do. I'm like, oh my God, yes. It's just like, this is the one. So that was a really gratifying moment for me, is that I found a factory that visually I could see that they did a product similar to something that I want to do.
Sure.
So that was a huge selling point. But like when it comes to like more of the like swag pieces of the brand, like logo t-shirts, logo hats, and all that, I just went on Alibaba and found a decent priced one. The minimums obviously are not going to be 50, like, but it's still very significantly cheaper to do those like one-off like starting brand things with them than to do with like the Bali manufacturer. Especially I'm doing like stocking caps, a dad hat, and like various like underwear too. So it's like the underwear they could have made, but like the hat and the like beanie, like, do they have a knitting machine to make the beanie? So I'm just like, and the process was kind of like slowing down because Chinese New Year apparently is also a thing in Bali, FYI. So that kind of halted a lot of stuff. So it just kind of got a little antsy. So I already got a sample back from my Alibaba place and it like was pretty decent. So that was another like stroke of luck, I feel like. So
you had, would you say 16 pieces?
mm-hmm.
So how many have you seen like samples of that you're?
I've only have one physical sample,
Okay.
but the Bali place is like really nice at communication. They have like a Google workplace kind of thing where they upload everything, and they use Slack as like their communication thing, and they just post all the pictures of the working samples, and they're like, oh, this is like messed up, and
So have you sent them some already? Or are they working on some?
they're working on like a lot of it, yeah.
Okay.
So I've been getting a lot of images, and like it's really nice because they'll suggest other things, whereas like some of the factories we work with are just kind of like, here it is.
Yep.
I'd be like,
armhole's so big.
It's like, why is the armhole down to my waist? So like already that's really nice. They've like worked with like Diplo and like Major Lazer on their like tour merch, and they've worked with like Dolls Kill and a few other brands like similar to those. So that was also a huge selling point because I kind of feel like my brand is kind of like the men's version of Dolls Kill.
Sure.
So that was a huge selling point for me. So
that's the big focus right now then, is really getting those samples done, right? So
yep.
That's and you said kind of funding is maybe like your bottleneck right now, or
Yeah.
what else is? So you've got the factory that you've sent them your specs.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just getting the kind of sample fees paid, or what's like your bottleneck right now?
So sample fees isn't hard. With the amount of money I was able to save, so I basically like started with 5,000 too, and so that has gone into a lot of the sample fees, which is like pretty much the average is like $100.
Sure. So you'll feel like you'll get all your samples back, but then you're kind of stuck on like, will I have enough money for production?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still kind of moving through the steps, and now you're working on what will be your next bottleneck issue.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because like I said, the minimums at that one place is great, but since they're probably a nicer quality manufacturer, they're probably going to be a more expensive production rate. But whereas the Chinese factories are going to be like $1 to $3, but you have to buy 100 to 300 pieces. So that's like kind of a lot.
So there's going to be a few people that hopefully watch this. So I guess please comment, let us know how we can help Kurt get the funding to get his product made.
Give me that money.
Suggestions. Again, I've got some ideas there, but I don't know everything. So please, if you know, help us out, because we want to see this thing become something.
Yes, please. Go buy it.
Well, we can't buy anything yet, but help us give suggestions. They're still wondering what's the brand name, because early on we said, you have a name, you have the handles, and they're like, they're waiting for what
What's
it
the
is.
name?
And I'll let you decide when you want to tell them that. If it's in a whole different video, that's cool.
That'd be awesome. A follow-up video being like, it's here.
Yep.
That'd
For now,
be
you're just going to
perfect.
be anxious and wondering
Yep.
what it is.
Oh my god, it's gonna be that anticipation, that build up. We're gonna get hyped, and like, then you're gonna buy it all of it.
That's it. That's simple. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess any other questions you have that I can help with?
I think that covers what I had.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for visiting. I enjoy this all the time. So
It's always a delight.
anytime, I'm here to help.
Uh,
Thanks, everyone.
bye.